What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Stamper Podcast. This is episode 17. Hope all is well. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got a special guest in the building, someone that I've heavily relied on for advice as of recently in regards to Apostilles. We have Camm Combs in the building. How you doing, Camm?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
How's your day going?
It's going pretty good. It's busy. I've been at it since 5:30, so it's almost time for a nap.
Right, yeah, you're getting that work in. So let's get straight into it. Just tell the people what I like to normally do for the podcast. I normally like to have my guests introduce themselves, and pretty much just talk about how did you get into the business? How did you get into becoming a notary? How did you get into apostille? So we got a long one to go, but just tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Camm Combs. I'm an owner of East Bay Apostille here in Oakland, California. And I also have CA Notarized, which is a nationwide company that is based out of Sacramento, California. So I've been a notary since probably 2018. I came into the notary field after leaving my job. I was kind of sick of the whole bureaucratic BS. And so I left my job and it was on a whim. So I started researching, how I came across Andre Hatchett, who is the owner of the Mobile Notary Business School right now. At that time, it was the Notary Business School. But he was having a live event in Oakland, California. So I jumped on, I signed up, and I went. At that time, I was going to do loan signings. Like that was the one I was like, okay, I can make the money right here. So I was going for loan signings. It was a 3-day event, and I think I missed the first one. I almost didn't go to the second one because I'm like, I just didn't. It was a Sunday. I didn't want to do it. Yeah. I pulled it together. I went. And so when I got there, he's telling me about notary, and then, he introduced apostilles. And so he explained the whole process to me, and I'm like, damn, that sounds good. So I'm thinking loan signings, which it requires printing and, lots of hours and all that stuff. And apostilles, it was perfect. I'm a mother of a child with cerebral palsy. Right. So I homeschooled her at the time. So being able to plan my schedule was really, really important. Mm-hmm. Whereas with notary work, you kind of have to be able to take those calls, like jump in or port them out, one of the two. So apostilles allowed me to plan them. I could stack them on days, all of that. I could take her with me because it was short, like in and out appointments. So it just worked for me. Yeah. So from there, I switched loan signings. I've done them, what I'm saying, like just kind of in between. If they come to me, cool. But I've never advertised, never done it. I started with apostilles, and that's where I've been. That's what I've done. And it's done actually very well for me.
What was that learning process like for you initially? And the reason why I asked that is because when I first heard about apostilles, when you first hear about the process, dealing with the Hague countries and non-Hague, it sounds like it's if I'm on the outside looking in, it sounds like such a complicated process, but once you actually get into it, it's actually pretty simple once you actually performing those tasks. So just talk about what that experience like when you first actually learn how to perform apostilles.
So after the meeting, I signed up for his business academy, so I learned everything. So I jumped in, I learned notary, everything. And so there were classes that essentially I watched and I followed, and then I started trying. So I got him as my mentor. I signed up for one-on-one coaching, and I was like, okay, so what do I do? So like my first few assignments, I was, like you say, it was overwhelming. Like you go to the state, they're like, nope, send it back. Like no explanation, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit tedious in the beginning, but I'd say about a month. It took me a month of consistent processing, and then I understood. I was like, okay, so I got it down. The biggest thing I did was I started writing everything down. So everything I did wrong, I wrote it down. I studied it. I researched why it was wrong. And then, like you say, it just becomes a part of your memory. So once you get past, I say that first 30 days, like you don't know what's happening. Once you get through that, it is essentially the same process. It's just learning really the signatures. That's the biggest key in processing. Once you have the process down, you're pretty good. So it was just trial and error. And eventually it became second nature. And then it was just something I fell in love with because I can enjoy it. Like I was no longer nervous. I'm talking to the clients that we all in their business. I'm like, oh, you buying property where? So I'm low key Googling the address like, dang, that's nice. So it just becomes a lifestyle. So it'll take about a month and you grasp it.
Do you remember your first assignment?
I do. I remember my first assignment. So a young lady called me. She was leaving to go. She was marrying a man who was an Italy national.
Yeah.
And so she was essentially leaving within a week's time. And she was like, I need my birth certificate. They had gotten married here, but she needed to go on his insurance in Italy because she was having a baby. Right. In order to do that, they had to establish residency here, that she was married here. She was all of that stuff in a week's time. Yeah. So at that time, I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm calling the Secretary of State. I'm on hold. I'm hitting Dre. I'm like, oh my God. But she trusted me, and I pulled that one off. Like, I got it, I think it in the mail. It was on the day that she was like, this is my absolute last day. I got them in the mail. I think we did like 2 or 3 days to Italy. She got them. She was happy. She's like, thank you. And after that, I was good, but before I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But once she was like, I'm happy, then it was like, okay, I could do this.
That's incredible. Yes, I remember the very first one I did was for when I had a client who needed a power of attorney notarized, and the document needed to go to Cambodia. So
wow, okay.
But at the time I didn't even realize I did it right. I got the document notarized. I knew I had to take the document up to the Secretary of State, but what I didn't realize is that Cambodia is a non-hate country. So there was additional steps that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Now, lucky for me, the lady, she was just so in a rush to get these documents that she didn't even want to go through. That when I explained the additional steps that need to be taken in order for it to be official, she didn't even want to go through it because she was just in such a rush. I would encourage anyone that's listening, like if you're going to actually start performing apostilles, know your country of destination, know what's a hate country, what's a non-hate country, and actually know the steps. Because again, I mean, you got people that's, like you just said for your client in Italy, they have deadlines that they have to meet. And it costs money to get the money order. It costs money to get the apostille. It can cost you it can cost you time and money if you don't actually do it right. So I appreciate you for sharing that. So before coming into apostille, what did you do? What did you do previously before coming into the notary industry?
So I worked in 2 agencies. I worked in the healthcare field. So that was my primary role. And then I moved into what is called a family navigator. So as a family navigator, you help other families with the children or adults with special needs to navigate the services and supports in order to give their children the best quality of life. I was doing that with a nonprofit, and that was where all the drama was. So, and it's surprising, right? Because it's supposed to help the families. It was more just all kind of stuff besides helping the families. Right. So one day I just got tired. I was like, I was done with it. So, that was what I was doing before, and I just pulled it out and I started doing it myself. So, that together with the notary has essentially sustained me for the last almost 4 years now.
That's incredible. Yeah. But did you always have that entrepreneurial, that fire in your belly, or was like say, would just due to circumstance, like you want to just make a change in your life?
So I've always known I was a horrible employee. I wouldn't necessarily say I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I knew I was a horrible employee. Like, I'm one, if my kid says they have a field trip tomorrow, that's it. I'm calling off. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always known where my priorities lie. Yeah. Because I didn't have anyone really in my family that were entrepreneurs. I knew, like realtors. My grandfather owned a trucking company, but he was, we are estranged basically. So I knew of him. I just didn't know the intricate, details of running a business. So I never wanted to work for anyone, but I didn't want to be my own boss because, there's that layer of security when you work for someone else. It's like, okay, I go, I do my job, I get my paycheck. When you really understand what entrepreneurship is, and it's like, okay, so I have to hustle up, every bit of my lifestyle, it's intimidating. It's often intimidating. So once I got past that, then it was like, yes, I realized how all of it came because my mind is always wondering like, okay, so how does this work? So how can it work better? Like, that's how my mind has always worked. Yeah. But again, you just like that security. So once you jump off and you don't have the security anymore and you fly, it's no going back from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to go and get a job right now today, it would do me and the person no service.
Right. No, I feel you on that. Yeah. Can you talk about some of those initial challenges in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. Okay. So my first business, I started back like in 2015. It was taxes. So I have an enrolled agent, so I can do taxes as well. The advertising is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur, that and managing your time.
Right.
So advertising, I didn't know all of that. So I initially studied healthcare, nursing, you know what I'm saying? Like administrative healthcare, all of those things. So advertising is not a part of that. So I always joke with my mom and say, I got $68,000 worth of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my college education. And it's like, I want to jump off the map when Sally Mae called me. Like I'm ready to gas her up. Like don't call my phone, but really though, so you don't learn those things. So getting it out there, getting it in front of people and having it be consistent, it was like a turnoff to me. I was like, I don't want to do that. So for me, the second time which would have been the notary or the apostille business, that's where I had Dre. He's like, he introduced me to Google, and you know what I'm saying? Like back then, I think I was like the only company in the North California that did apostilles. So when my Google ads hit, they hit. Like it took off. Like and I want to say I spent probably $300 to $600 a month, and I mean I was grossing 6,000 to 10,000. Like it was popping. And that was my second month in business. So imagine going from terrified to my first. I want to say I launched it in March, right?
Yeah.
It was the end of March. It was the 20th of March actually. I finally launched it. The first probably 10 days or 7 days, I think I made like $500. I sold one, still did a couple general notary jobs. The next month, which was April, I came out and I think I grossed, I want to say $6,900. And it was just like ads, so people were like calling my phone. The second month in business. Yeah. So that hooked me. So from there, I figured out everything else, which would be the time management. And I found that you have to transition from an employee to an employee, or to self-employed and then into a business owner. Yeah. So those are steps that people don't anticipate. Yeah. So the biggest thing for me was, like I say, was advertising. Once that was done, it was the transition, because like you said, I was used to being to work on time. You do your job, you get off at 5:30. You go home, you fix it, right? Now it's like, no, people are calling you at 8:00. They don't care if your business is closed. They're going to try it anyway. Right. And when you're new, you're snatching up the phone. You know what I'm saying? So it's 8:00. You're trying to field calls and take information, and you're trying to figure out how to ask people for money, right? Because you're used to getting the money given to you. Like they tell you, this is what I'm going to pay you. You say you might negotiate a little bit. Okay, you come out. This is what they're paying you. They take their taxes, everything. So now I'm having to figure out, like, I got money hitting square left and right. I'm like, ooh, this is nice. I have to wait every 2 weeks for this. But then it's like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? I don't know when the next paycheck is coming. So you have to remember to put some money to the side. You're still building a business. Yep. So then you have to have an account to say, okay, I'm going to reinvest in my company. And then you have to remember taxes, right? So because I have tax background, I realized, so I'm starting to calculate, like, wait, how much am I going to have to pay? Because you need to have all those things lined up or they will shut your whole business down. Yeah. So it's just that transition. It's a mindset. And I think once you get the mindset, everything else can become second nature. No matter what business you want to do, if you have the correct mindset and you have the focus and you're like, okay, I'm going to get up. Like I started setting my clock. I don't get up any later than 5 a.m. 5 a.m. That's my get up time. I take my time. I chill. I have my coffee, whatever, do my exercise, and then it's to work at 6 o'clock because I work with a lot of people on the East Coast. Yeah. So I can't get up at 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? They're at lunch and then they're going home. Yeah, so you got to figure that time schedule out.
I appreciate you for sharing that. Man, it's so many gems that it's so many gems to pull from there. Just talk about I want to talk about the mindset, because like I said, I think but running the business is not, I don't believe it's that difficult to do so, but if you don't have if you're not prepared mentally to actually do it, it can't feel overwhelming, and it's going to feel like, what am I doing this for, right? So can you talk about over the course of time, the habits that needed to be built in order for you to get to this point?
Sure. So consistency. Mm-hmm. I am consistent with things that matter to me. Okay. And so my kids consistent, my household consistent, my friendship, my family consistent. Business, because it was not first nature. It was something that I simply did to get income to then pay it out to people. You don't always value that. When you work for somebody else, you don't necessarily value money or income the way you should, right? Because again, it's almost like it's handed. If I show up, I don't get fired, I send my emails, I do what I'm supposed to, I'm going to get a check.
Yep.
When you are out here with no net, it's constant mind, like your mind is constantly moving, and it's fear versus success. So you get to that point where it's like, okay, you got your sales, you hit $1,000 in a day, you hit 1,800 in a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole paycheck for many of us. Let's just be transparent. Like, that flex life on Instagram, that's nice, but we starting out at $1,800 is pretty much a paycheck for 2 weeks at a time, right? You transport it, you commute it, all of that. So now you have all this free time, because essentially if I had an office, because I knew I couldn't work well from home. Like, home is home for me, office is office. So that was one of my things I had to have, was an office. I would go to my office every day, just like I was an employee. Yeah. So that's how I built my consistency. But when the money started hitting, and I noticed I didn't have to work so hard, I didn't have to be in my office 8 hours a day. I could answer my cell phone in the car on the way home in traffic, and I was still going to make the money, because I could make the sale. I could take the card number down on my notes, run it or send an invoice, whatever, while I'm in traffic, so now it's like, I don't have to be here that much. So then before you know it, you find yourself, you out kicking it, and it's like, wait a minute, there's still work to be done. Just because you're selling doesn't mean this is the end all be all, because what happens when, like you say, COVID hits? You know what I'm saying? Had I not learned consistency, and this is how I learned consistency. So I told you, I came out the gate with like $6,900. Next month was crazy. So then I want to say by July, I'm running, because at this point I picked up, dropped off, ran to secretaries. I was doing everything. I burned out. I had personal things going on. I burned out, and I was like, I can't do this. I need a break. And one thing had to go. So it was that. But because I had repeat clients is what kept me in this business, because I almost quit my first year. And I'm so glad I didn't. I literally almost quit, because it was so overwhelming, right? You used to just going to work, going home. Yes. So now you got lots of different things, and I'm trying to research, and I'm learning about this state, because people are like, they come to you from all over, right? That's the thing that you don't realize with Apostille. So the person might have originated in New York. They're born there. They moved to Texas, went to school. They had a baby in Phoenix. Now they're in California living for a job down in Silicon Valley. So you got 4 different states that you have to navigate in one order. So it burns out. So you're trying to learn all of that at one time, and then you get tired. So that is, I almost quit. Like, I literally was like, I'm done. And then I looked at my pace, and I was like, no, we not done. We gonna take a break, and we gonna come back to this. You know what I'm saying? And thankfully, I still had people calling me. At that time, I had gotten on with the architecture firm and a couple of law firms here. One in Walnut Creek, an architecture firm in Alameda, and I think it was one in Danville. So they kept calling me, which is what kept my business going. And so I learned, okay, we have to be consistent. So that's when I learned to schedule my time. So like 5 to this is this time, this to this is this time. And that's how I became consistent, but it wasn't overnight. And you would think the money make you consistent. It doesn't. Like, you have to totally shift your mindset to be successful in business.
I appreciate you for sharing that, because you, like I said, no matter how much you make, you got to show up every day. Every day you start from zero.
Every day.
You
right.
Can't look at the scoreboard.
No matter what happened yesterday. Facts. Right.
At all. And then you touched on something too that I have to talk about this. You talked about you have repeat clients. That's every notary should be focused on getting repeat clients. And the reason why I ask that, because a lot of notaries that I come across, they always ask how to get new business, new business. Like, why are you so focused on trying to get new business every single time? There's only so many people that you can serve. Why about you? And this is something I actually learned from Dre. Focus on the first 10 clients that you have. Focus on them.
Yeah.
Focus on how you can serve them. Once you locked in on how you can serve the first 10, then focus on how you can serve the next 100. So right. Can you talk about the importance of locking in repeat clients? Can you please talk about that?
Listen. I'm going to tell you how important this is. And I illustrate with stories, so I might be long-winded, forgive me. Just, it's always a purpose to my foolishness. But so those clients, so I'd say the first 6 months. So once I got over my woe is me moment and got back to business, I'd say between March, I'm going to say March because I started at the end of March and November, I pretty much had a solid client base.
Mhm.
And those clients have shown up for me every single year. I still have clients that I dealt with in my first 2 months of business that will call me. And so when COVID hit, right, with Apostilles, it's international business. It's everybody's traveling. They want dual citizenship. They're studying abroad. People are leaving the country.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this business. My business survived, and it didn't do what it did prior to COVID, but it survived through COVID because of my repeat customers. Like they were, firms. So they're still doing business whether the world is shut down or not.
Yeah.
If I would have been solely focused on getting new individuals, I can't say it wouldn't have went well, but the thing with individuals is they only really need you once. You know what I'm saying? It's a one-time thing. So you give them a great impression. They might give you a good review. With this level of service, they're not worried about reviewing. They like, we paid you this money. Do you have my documents? Yes. Cool. Thanks for your service. They'll call you again if they need you, but it's no, you know what I'm saying? Like this is not a long-term relationship business.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, it can be, but it's not typically. So my focus became the businesses, like those people that were able to then create long-term assignments for me. So that was the firms. Like, okay, so they're in this business every single day. They're building structures every single day. So I focused on giving that man the best service ever. He could call my personal cell phone. Like if it was 7:00 in the morning and that gentleman called my phone, it was like, hey, Mr. Mello, how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? Like it was one of those things. Like he's like, I need this, I got you. I'll be there. We got to a point where we didn't even have to go through the process. He's like, hey, I got 5, no problem. Invoice sent, pick up, back. Thanks, Camm. See you next time. Like that is what sustained me. If I'd have been chasing every new client, I wouldn't have been able to perfect or even establish the relationship with him because I'd have been so busy focused on trying to sell myself. And that's the thing with new clients. You have to sell yourself every single time. Once you've established yourself with a client, it's like, becomes like a friend. Like, hey, how's your kids? How's the wife doing? Cool. What do you need from me? Boom, boom, boom. Got it. And it's money in the bag because they know what your service is. And then they're more understanding if something goes wrong because nobody's perfect. Like you're going to make a mistake sometime, somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're going to understand because they're like, I know you show up. So what happened? It's like, okay, this happened. I apologize. I'll fix it. And they give you that chance. Yeah. You do that with a new client before you give it off the phone. They got a negative 1-star review on your business and the worst company. It's a scam. It's like, I messed up.
Right. Yeah. Those new clients can be pretty unforgiving if you make any mistakes, like you said. But if you focus on building that relationship with the clients that you already do have, like you said, you touched on it. How's your family doing? How did the weekend go? What we can do to help you? Then you say, and you have your personal line as well. So you have that relationship.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more times if you got that relationship already and you're providing a great service, what's the chances of them really leaving you to go to somebody else and have to start that whole process all over again?
If you get inconsistent. So that's why you focus on your step. Like they say, your day ones, you focus on your day ones. Yeah. If you become inconsistent, you will lose that day one. So consistency, like you said, consistency, good relationships. That's what keeps you in business. So once the world was shut down, people were still calling my phone. It made it a lot difficult because everything was shut down. It was taking a lot longer, but they worked with me and I communicated. I was like, hey, this is what's going on, but I'm gonna get it done. And I got it done. So that would be my thing. If you want to stay in business, focus on relationships, not new clients.
Relationships is the real. I think I had a post out not too long ago. I touched on this. The relationship is the real currency. At the end of the day. You can have a great month, a potential client. You can have a great month, but as soon as if you lose that relationship with that client, all of that is going away.
Yeah, right, and you back to square zero, like you said. So that's my focus. Like at one point, like I said, I was pumping money into ads, and people were calling, and then you start getting just BS calls. Can you do it for $50? I'm sorry, ma'am. Like that's not gonna keep the business, right? Like, no, I'm sorry. There's plenty of $99.99 customers. You can find that company, but you know what I'm saying? It's the relationships is what kept me going.
That's a bar within itself. The relationships are going to keep you. The relationship is going to sustain you long term.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get into. How did you went? So where are you at this point in time in your business? Are you still doing making these runs yourself? Are you outsourcing? Are you hiring? How is the business? How is the business these days?
So I moved to another area, which is actually much closer to the Secretary of State. So my business still operates in down in the East Bay, which is about an hour and a half from where I am.
Yep.
And so if they need the notary portion, then I contract. There's another great notary down there that we came through. He came to me through the business school. We all came through the same school. And so I'll shoot him the business like, hey, can you do it? You know what I'm saying? If not, and then, but there's a good thing. A lot of people actually don't know that you can get the notary done at the same time. Yeah. So a lot of times they come to you already notarized. So that works well for me. So I have an office down there, one in Pleasanton, one in Oakland. They can drop off. If they don't want to leave their home, I'll provide a mailing label, you know what I'm saying? Right here from Click and Ship. Send it to them. They put it in there, schedule a pickup. It'll come right to the office, or I'll even send it to my house if I can get away with that. And then, process it and put it in the mail, send it back. So I essentially shifted my service level. The door-to-door is a lot more at this point because, like you said, I'm having to break the assignments up because I'm not doing all that ripping and running anymore. I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? Like if there's no other choice, then absolutely I'm gonna go and get it, especially if it's a repeat client. But that's why I had to raise my prices so that I could afford to, pay each person. So I will outsource the notary. The apostille can be done because that's like 15 minutes from my house. So, I'll even do that. And I even like let him know like, hey, you have stuff you need processed, send it up to me. I'll take it up there for you. So that's kind of my shift, but I still, answer my phone because I know my product best. I have the hardest time letting go of the phone portion. Yeah. So that's my main role right now is the phone and kind of just organizing. Everything else is done by someone else.
That's a beautiful spot to be in business where you can delegate. Like I'm at that point now in my business where, and this is just as recently, like, yeah. Like this, and this is real time, by the way, whoever's listening to this, I am overwhelmed. Not gonna lie, okay. I've been overwhelmed, and I think that's a sign that the business is growing, and it's time to delegate tasks that I don't need to be doing. I could be outsourcing specific tasks. Like I said, I run an agency. Like obviously that portion of the business automated as far as hiring notaries, but as far as the marketing and answering the phone calls, customer email support, I need help. I need help. I'm currently in the process of interviewing some VAs and trying things of that nature. So that's a great place to be in. I also want to touch on this. Can we talk about the importance of building your notary network? And I think this is very important because I've been in the business for 5 years.
Nice.
And it wasn't until this year.
Okay.
Until this year where I realized that notaries actually pass each other business.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And when I first came across that concept, I was like, I didn't understand it initially because I'm thinking, why would a notary send another notary business? I'm in this. I'm not in the mindset of abundance, right? I'm thinking I got to compete. I'm competitive by nature, so I'm thinking like, all right, somebody else trying to take my business, right? But I had a situation where I needed a signing that needed to be completed, and I reached out to this notary, asked her if she was able to do it. She said she wasn't able to do it, but about 10 minutes later, I got a phone call from another notary who was referred to me by the notary who said they weren't available for that assignment, and I ended up hiring her for the assignment. So that made me think. I was like, wow, I didn't realize notaries actually did that, and it just made me think. A lot of notaries, they spend a lot of time walking into these title companies, sending out a bunch of emails, and when business is slow, they're trying to figure out what to do. And my thing is, if business is slow, you should really be relying on your notary network because we all have a ton of opportunities that's going to come our way. We can only do so many assignments. We can only do so many assignments within a day, right? So it's at some point, if I got 6 appointments, if I already got 6 appointments on the books, and I got another one that came in, and I can't do it. I much rather pass to somebody that I know who will actually do the assignment. So can you talk about the importance of building up your notary network?
So your notary network, right? Connections. That's key because when I first came to business, and I think this is a downfall, I want to say school system, whatever, right? Because they don't teach connections, or at least in our culture, right? Like we're not taught to work with each other. That's taken from my mouth. It's not that you don't want to help somebody else. It's like, I can't lose this food out of my mouth. when I had my moment where I didn't want to do anything, had I had a strong network, I could have passed those because I'd taken the courses. Like you said, I knew how to middleman. I just didn't have the network built. So that was when I went back and looked at my call logs, like, and I saw this in my woe is me moment. It was like, okay, game, like you said, game, set, match. I started talking to people. There was a lady, every time when I went to the Secretary of State, we was almost there together. And she passed me her business card. You know, I kind of blew her off. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, oh, okay, nice. I never intended to call that lady. Never intended to call her. Yeah. And then I found her card again. And I just reached out like, hey, you know, just wanted to check in on you. And I'm like, are you still doing this? And she's like, yeah. So if I couldn't make it, I had somebody I could, and she lived in the area. So I could overnight my stuff to her. That was my first connection. Then I went back to the business school and I started teaching and I started seeing, you know, like people, I'm like, I shoot on my Instagram and they're like, hey. So I start reaching out. And then I went a step further and I started contacting other notaries on Instagram. Like, hey, I'm looking for a partner. Do you want a partner? Do you know 90% of them didn't respond? Like they did not respond. It was like, and to this day, you can see it was seen. Now a lot of those people are following me. Hey y'all. but no, real talk though. But there were, I want to say 4 consistent ones. And from that, we were able to I was able to do stuff in New York and I didn't have to figure out because New York is a whole new ballgame. I have one dedicated gentleman, Alan. I think he's in New York, mobile notary and Apostille, something like that. Cool dude. I sent him this stuff. I didn't have to follow up. I knew he'd tell me, Camm, they're on their way back. No problem. Understanding relationships is not just for the customer, it's also for the business to survive. So building your notary network, the more people you can call on means there's never a day you're out of business. There will be a day you have a child. There'll be a day you go on a vacation. There'll be a day that you're just not available. If you have a network and you already know how they move, like that's how I operate. Like if somebody contacts me new, I'm not familiar with it, I'm gonna hit them up like, okay, you got my number from where? Okay, hey, is this person cool? They legit? Yep. Okay, cool. We can do business. Like I lean on my other people to validate because, like you say, this is a business. It's my name out there. You know what I'm saying? If I don't fulfill your assignment, that's your name, not mine.
Right.
And so I need good relationships, but I still need relationships. So like you say, when you grow to that point, and I think it's just a maturity thing, once you realize that there is enough to eat everywhere, you can easily start saying, hey, I have this, I have that. Like I hit up a couple of my people, like, you know, hey guys, my business is slowing down. If you got some extra assignments, I'm willing to help you out. Yeah. And they came and I did it, and just like it would be for my own business. So that's another thing. If you want to establish relationships, you have to give 110%, just like it's your own name. And don't be out here trying to steal people's business. Stop that. Like, I'm like, that's so tacky. Don't do that to people.
That's very tacky. Then, but you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that, because the client, because what most folks don't realize is like, the person that's passing you the assignment, they have that relationship with the client, so they talk. So they're gonna tell me if, hey, your notary was, you know, being a little extra. They gonna tell you, you know. So
absolutely,
you yourself in the foot by doing that, right? So,
and here's the other part to that. I don't think other notaries don't understand. You're underselling yourself. Yeah. So most of us are not in the business of robbing people, especially as a notary, right? There's a lot of us here. Yeah. You can't rob people, so you're actually giving them a fair price.
Yeah.
So if you come in with a lawyer, you're underselling yourself. You're working for less than what you can make. So you're actually losing in that industry. You know what I'm saying? You may take that sale. You may take a couple of them, but you're losing because now you've priced yourself way below what you can make. So in the end, like you said, you lose because you don't maximize your profit. And that's the point of being business. Otherwise, you're in a hobby.
Facts. Yeah, you talking that talk. Yeah, don't shoot yourself in the foot, y'all. I mean, that's an incredible feeling, but that's a great feeling to be able to have that type of network where, you know, if things are a little slow, you got notaries who you built good relationships with and say, hey, you know, it's been a little slow on my side for me. If you happen to have anything come towards your way that you can't take on, I'll be more than happy to help you. And that's an incredible position to be in. I think that's so slept on, that it's not talked about enough because, again, people are so focused on getting new business and new clients all the time. It's like, no, connect with these other notaries.
And it's a humility piece too. You know, you don't want. I don't want them to know that. I like you said. I got two broke best friends. You know what I'm saying? Like that pride. Let all that go. You know what I'm saying? Like what matters at the end is my AGI. Like, can I buy some property with this? If not, I don't have no pride. You know what I'm saying? If I can't leave something to my children, like leave all that behind. So yeah, networking is a huge part. So I think it's just learning. It's learning, growing, and being willing to learn. Like that was the biggest thing. Being willing to learn, being willing to ask the questions, being willing to reach out for help. If you don't know, you don't know.
Facts. So it's I know before we jumped on the podcast, you had let me know that we got, and we see it in the background as well. We got the Apostille Academy, right? And before we go into that, I definitely want to give you your flowers for the Apostille all Apostilles all the time. I watched them classes so much. And the way you break and the way you break the process down is so simplified, and it's nothing like it out there.
Yeah,
it's like I said that. Yeah, because nobody else. I mean, I don't know too many people that talk about apostilles, and then when they do talk about it, they make it sound much more complicated than it should be. But the way you break it down, it's like, oh, this is not difficult at all. I feel more confident in my ability to do so. So I definitely want to let you know you are a great teacher. So I want you to talk about why now is the time for you to come out with Apostille Academy, and what can people benefit from actually enrolling.
Okay, so now it's just like I decided in 2022 I was going for everything that's due to me. You know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think you get to that space where it's like I've done all I can do in my own body. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do I continue to reach and continue to be of a service? And it's like Drake, that same day I met him, he told me I should start a school. I sat on it because I didn't want to. I didn't want to be a public face. I didn't want people to be like, well, who is she? Oh, I know her. You know, I'm a private person. I don't like all that. Like, I got full friends and I'm solid with them. Right. But you know what I'm saying? I didn't want it. I didn't want to be in front of people because people are really nice. And then you got, like you said, a lot of extra stuff. And at that point, I wasn't built for it. Yeah. So if you say why now, is because I'm built for it. Like I have the emotional aptitude to be able to deal with people who come in with me with their drama or trying to transfer some energy onto me because I've maybe done something that you wanted to do or you're not brave enough to do in that moment. And that's where you get a lot of negative comments from on social media. It's like, you just don't have nothing else to do at this moment. Yeah. So once you get to that place where you can handle it and it's like, that doesn't belong to me. So I said, okay, I think in 2020, I lost my dad. So I went through this huge transformation. It was like, okay, life is short. What do you want to do? So out of that, it's like I launched. I've written the classes. They were there. I've been saying I was going to do it forever. And it was like, okay, let's put some money behind it. Let's put some time behind it. Yeah. And here it is. And it's like, it's showing up and it's everything is going really well. And I'm really happy about that. So what you can expect is essentially, this is me. This is how I communicate. This, like you said, I make it as simple as possible. I'm going to give you every example I can because I think when you teach, you have to be transparent and open and willing to share the information. Like, I'm not going to hold back because I want you to come back in 2 months to buy this new course. Like, I'm going to give you everything you need to do to be successful because somebody did that for me. Yeah. So that was just the only service I focused on. So I learned it and I learned it really well. And I feel like when I step into the Secretary of State, I'm the only face like this in there besides one other lady who works there. Yeah. I feel like that's huge. You have tons of courier services. They're coming in and out. And it's like, I want us to be able to win. And if it wins, if this is this area, the notary, like that's important to me. Like I want us to win. So I'm going to share the information. A lot of people don't know what it is. So it's like, okay, we're going to break down. It's going to be a 4-week class and we're going to do everything from intro to apostilles. What is it? Like you said, we're going to look at the countries, how to set your business up, from Google to lead pages for your website, everything. Like I'm going to give you everything you need to succeed. And you should be able to take it from there. Like you say, play it back, watch it. It's going to be what you need to add this to it. I feel like if you're already a notary, then cool. You have like the majority of it already down. So it's like, let's just teach you how to add on to it because it's like it's there. Somebody's always going to need it. If you know how to do it, you can get that money, add it on, and it pays very, very well, because it's just learning to do something somebody else doesn't want to do. So it's there.
It pays very well.
It
Very
does,
well.
right?
Very well. Very
Mhm.
well. And all you, like I said, all you doing is just making those runs to the SOA.
Making your runs. It's like, as long as you can get the signatures down, which is going to be the most intensive part.
Absolutely.
And if it means we need to stop, take a break, come back another week, that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to make sure you get what you need.
Yeah.
But we're going to do document review. So we're going to look at, standard documents, what's acceptable, what's not, what will be accepted, what will be rejected. I'm trying to save you time, energy, everything else. I want you to be as confident as possible. When you leave my school, it's like, okay, I can do this. So we're going to do all that. Once you get it down, like you say, it's getting the documents now is the hardest thing for me. It's like, I don't want to drive. Gas is like $6 a gallon. So it's like, let me open up another office, right? With one tank of gas, I can open up another office and let people drop them off. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, like you say, the mindset, the structure of the business, and then understanding the process, and you good to go. You're good to go.
Have you already launched it? Have you already launched it, or is it on its way?
No, it's on its way. So we have it slated to launch April 19th. So right now, we're been on the phone all day. Like, okay, what is this? I'm, redesigning the whole web page, because I was never really a huge social media person. So we have like the web page up. We're moving on to Instagram. So we'll start uploading videos, and like, this is who I am. And I've been recording like my assignments since I started. I knew I was going to get here. I just didn't know when. So it's like, y'all get to see, all of them just kind of working through it. So you'll see that you can do it. Like, I don't want you to feel like this is some fly by night, hit or miss, opportunity. It's something that I've done, and I've done consistently. So I feel good about the product.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to release it, because it's a process that should be learned very slowly. It's not something I feel like you should be rushing, because again, you were talking about wasting people's time and money if you rush in the process, if you don't know what you're doing.
And then you spend time and you got to give up refunds. And that's, when you're learning, you don't really have time for, the error margin is so small, because it is essentially a convenience service. So you're doing something for someone else to save them time and money. So you got to know what you're doing. And that's where our focus is.
And I think, and you touched on something too that I want to get back to, is the importance of if you're going to be teaching, you need to be very transparent. And it's also important to learn from people that actually do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Instead of somebody that just looked up on Google, went to the NNA or went to some website. It's this is how you do apostilles, and then trying to present the product, right? Mm-hmm. It's very important to learn from people that actually do it, because again, those stories that you're incorporating, it ties in all together, what you're teaching, and then the stories you tie it, all ties in together. Then the end user, they get a better experience, and they get a better understanding of how to actually perform the service as well. So,
and it's realistic, like you said. I know going into business is hard, and a lot of times, you launching everything you have into this. So I don't want to sell you no dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't do me any benefit, because I don't want anybody mad at me. Like, I'm gonna tell you what I know. And that's all I'm gonna tell you. Anything else, I'm gonna refer you to somebody else, because somebody did teach me. This has just been my focus.
Yeah, I love this. So I always like to end it with one question I ask for our entrepreneurs. Where do you see the business? Where do you see your business going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, so I'm gonna stay with the Apostille business. I hope to be teaching. I love teaching. I found that teaching on Dre's platform. I hope to be teaching. I am actually launching a signing service, so I think I'm coming to your class tonight. Aren't you teaching tonight?
Yeah, I'll be teaching the notaries.
Yep, I'll be there. So I'm launching that. That's going next. You know what I'm saying? So I'll definitely still be in the notary business. Like, it's unless they say we can no longer notarize, I'll be here. So I'll just figure it out. I'll definitely hope to still be teaching, because I love that. Hope the signing service goes well. I'm learning from some of the best, so that's gonna do my thing, and then start grooming my kids to come in, and I'm gonna then focus probably more on the caregivers, which is like my passion project once everything is solidified. So that's where I'm going. I'll still be here doing something.
Before I end, this is such a dope business to be a part of.
Heck yeah. Like, you meet phenomenal people. And when you're in people's personal business, you get to make genuine relationships. Yeah. So, I love it. And I love the Notary Business School. Shout out to them too. Shout out to your academy. I'm loving your situation. I'm loving that. I'm loving it. I'm loving your marketing. Your whole thing is phenomenal. I salute you as well, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll be teaching at the Notary Business School tonight too.
I'll be there. I'll be in your class. So I'm gonna learn from you tonight, right? So this is what notary is. We learn from each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important, man. It's important, like I said, to be able to have people who you can bounce ideas off of and be able to learn from as well. Like it's I don't know, it's the synergy that you get from that. Like it's important to be like surround yourself with those type of people and be in that environment as well. It's very key. So all y'all that's listening out there, put yourself in the right environment, surround yourself with the right people, surround yourself with like-minded people that's has the same vision that you have, the where you that's going to where you're trying to get to. Stay away from them snooty folks, them people that be hating, people that don't want to see you win. They don't want to give you no real information, no real game on how to succeed. Stay away from those people, y'all.
That's what I was gonna say. Make sure you find somebody who's willing to help you. Somebody who's willing to help you.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, how can the people find you? How can the people get in touch with you?
So I have a couple pages. I have at the Apostille Academy, and that's on Instagram. That is going to be for this course. Or you can find me on my business page, which is at East Bay Apostille. So that's EASTBAYAPOSTILLE. Yeah, that's it. At East Bay Apostille on Instagram. I'm there. Shoot me a DM. I'm not going to answer all of them, but if you do have a quick question, I will definitely help you if I can.
Again, I appreciate you for jumping on the Stamper podcast, for giving us all this knowledge, sharing your story with us.
Sure.
It was a pleasure. And until next time, y'all, peace out.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye, everybody.